beautiful friends, welcome back to another video. I hope you're keeping very well. I'm so excited because this week I am finally back with another what I eat in a week video. I'm really excited for a delicious week of food ahead. And right now it's Monday morning. I'm just getting myself ready for the day and I've made myself a hot cacao. This one is on cashew milk because I'm back into making my own homemade milks and loving it so much. And also loving the fact that Cara got a coffee machine for her birthday because it means that I can froth and steam my own milk at home, which is really good. I'm working from home today, so I'm about to sit down, drink my cacao and plan the day ahead and then get into making breakfast, which is probably going to be a very simple one because I haven't done a big grocery shop in a little while. So we'll see what we can do with what we have in the fridge. So I had some bread in the freezer, so I toasted that up and then just topped it with some avocado and smashed it all on there, and then topped it with some sun-dried tomatoes that I had left over in the fridge, as well as some pickled onions on top. It's like one of my favorite combos lately. Add some salt and some pepper, and that is a very simple, delicious breakfast. For lunch, I had some meal prep left in the fridge, which was this bean chili, 3-bean chili with quinoa. So I just heated that all up over the stove, and then when it came to serving it, I just put it into a bowl and I served it with some corn chips, as well as some coconut yogurt and some avocado and some coriander as well. Just a really simple, nourishing lunch that I actually love making pretty frequently. I definitely recommend trying this out if you haven't before. I had a pretty early dinner tonight because I had to head out in the later evening, and to make this I just started by prepping some red capsicum as well as some tomatoes. I cut them all up and then I also peeled some garlic, put them onto a baking tray and drizzled with some olive oil before putting it in the oven to roast for like 20 to 25 minutes. Once it was done, I put these into a blender with some soaked cashews as well as some nutritional yeast. I also added in some onion powder as well as some veggie stock powder. Then I added in some soy milk and I blended this all together until it was nice and smooth. This is a really nice, creamy, delicious pasta sauce. I'm loving creamy pastas so much at the moment. So I just drizzled this over some cooked pasta in a pan and mixed it all together. And I put the leftover sauce in a container in the freezer so that I can save it for a rainy day. Then I served myself up a serve of this, topped it with some chives, and I very much so enjoyed this. It's a delicious and hearty creamy pasta with veggies, so super nice. On Tuesday morning, I made myself some oats. As the weather gets cooler here, I enjoy oats more and more, and these are some super simple ones that I just made on some soy milk with a bit of maple syrup. Then I topped it with some coconut yogurt as well as some fresh banana and some fresh strawberries, and then some hemp seeds on top as well. Super simple and super delicious, and always a good way to start the day. Then when it came to lunch, I fried up some barbecue tempeh, which is just some tempeh that I coat in barbecue sauce and a little bit of oil and then fry it up. I definitely burnt this, but I promise you it was still delish. And I just made myself a wrap, which I've been loving making a wrap lately just because it's just so easy and filling and delish. And I just put some avocado, some sun-dried tomatoes, cucumber, spinach, the tempeh and some vegan mayo on this, and then I managed to wrap it up even though it was so full, and cut it open, and this was a really yummy filling lunch, which is exactly what I want from lunch. So I'm almost finished with my work day and I'm just gonna make a little afternoon snack, and this has been like my go-to snack or dessert lately. Just been loving it so much. It is some chocolate coconut yogurt by Koyo. This stuff is just my favorite. I've loved it for years, but it's one of those things that I go through phases with. And then I've also got some strawberries and just like a little protein ball thing. And basically what I've been doing is just having like some yogurt with some fresh berries and then some kind of little treaty like this that I just sort of like crumble up or chop up and add in with it, and then that's the snack that I've been having, and I really like it because it's so easy to make. And as well as that, I'm a chocolate girly, so I just love having a little sweetie chocolate flavored treaty in the afternoon. I feel like I do tend to have it more in the afternoon because I'm not a big dessert after dinner person, probably because I go to bed pretty early a lot of the time. So yeah, dessert tends to happen for me closer to like 3 p.m. Chocolate coconut yogurt in the bowl. I'm gonna crumble some of this protein ball over the top. I don't really have much of a preference with like protein balls and protein bars and stuff like that. Like I definitely have my favorites, but to be honest, I usually just kind of buy what's on special if I know that I like it, and this was on special today. And there we have it. There's my little afternoon snack. That's definitely going to get me through the rest of the workday. For dinner, I made one of my favorite recipes at the moment, which is a butter bean curry. I start by putting some oil as well as onion and garlic and curry powder, as well as some extra cumin into my pan and frying this up before adding in some butter beans that I had drained and rinsed and continuing to fry this up. Then I added in some coconut cream as well as some tinned tomatoes. I also added in a little bit of water, and then I continued mixing this together until I got this delicious creamy rich curry. I then added in some spinach and some coriander at the end and just mixed this together for like another minute so the spinach started to wilt a little bit. When it came to serving, I served this up for my boyfriend and I. We just had some rice with it as well as some store-bought naan bread that I just heated up in the oven and then cut into pieces. I also like to top my curry with some coconut yogurt as well as some fresh coriander, and so that's exactly what I did here, and it was a very delightful way to end the day. I was so in the zone this morning with like my morning routine and with listening to my favorite podcast that I've just gone to film and realized that I completely ate breakfast and completely forgot to film it. Anyway, I just had a bagel because I got some fresh bagels from my local bagel shop with some avocado and some pickled onions and some salt and pepper, which has kind of been like my go-to lately. I'm just like obsessed with pickled onions. So whilst we're here, I want to say a big thank you to my friends at Squarespace who have sponsored today's video. If you've been around my channel for a while, you know I love Squarespace so much, and I have been using Squarespace to host and design websites for the past few years. When I initially wanted to set up my website, which is amandadux.com, that has loads of vegan recipes if you're looking for more recipes to try at home. When I was first going to set that up, I was so intimidated by the idea of setting up a website because I was like, I have no web design experience at all. I really don't know what I am doing, and I wanted to make something that looked nice and like represented my brand well, but it was also a place that I could share recipes easily. And not only have the blogging features on Squarespace proven to be so user-friendly and so easy, but as well as that, just like designing the whole website in general, as well as mine and Kara's podcast website, was so seamless, and I could get it done in like a day, which I did not anticipate it being that easy. So it has been really, really good, and I genuinely recommend Squarespace to my friends and the people in my life. So if you're ever looking to host or design your own website, I highly recommend checking out Squarespace. You can go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, you can go to squarespace.com/AmandaDux and use my code AmandaDux, which gets you 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. Okay, I'm gonna get back into my productive home morning, and I will catch up with you when it's time for lunch. I love soba noodle salad, and I saw someone making it on Instagram this day, and I was like, okay, need to make it for lunch. And thankfully I had some soba noodles which I could cook up. I then made a peanut sauce to go with it with some peanut butter, some soy sauce, as well as some lemon juice, and I also added in some water, and I mixed this together and then ended up shaking it together in a jar because I find this the best way to combine a sauce together. Once that was all done, we get into prepping the actual salad. So into my bowl I put the soba noodles that I had cooked up and then cooled down, as well as some of the peanut sauce. Mix this together with my hands. I just find this the easiest way to mix it together. Then added in some carrots, some cucumber, as well as some leftover sesame tofu and some coriander that I had in the fridge, and I mixed this all together. A little bit of a messy one, not your most aesthetically pleasing lunch, but delicious nonetheless. And then for dinner, my boyfriend boyfriend and I just had some simple burgers. So I had some vegan mayo as well as some greens, followed by some tomato and some cucumber. Then I also added in some red onion. My boyfriend had a vegan chicken schnitzel on his burger, and I had a veggie burger, which I think was just like carrot, peas, corn, chickpeas, and then topped it with that lid, if you want to call it that, and had some roasted potatoes on the side. This was a really hearty and delicious dinner. Loved it so very much. The next morning I went out for breakfast with my friend, and of course I just got some avocado toast with some vegan feta, which was super yummy. And then when I got home, I was once again in the mood for a bagel. Really in my bagel era again. I don't know when my bagel era will end, to be honest, but I love having them for breakfast, but also for lunch as like a fresh sandwich. So on this I had some cream cheese, greens, tomato, onion, and some avocado, and it was super delicious. I loved it so very much. And then when it came to making dinner, I decided to do a cherry tomato pasta today. So into a bowl I put some oil, salt, pepper, garlic powder and onion powder and mixed it together, and then added in some cherry tomatoes, tossed them together, and then put them onto a baking tray to roast in the oven. Meanwhile, I also cut up some red onion. Usually I prefer brown onion, but I didn't have any left, so red onion it is. Put that into a frying pan with a little bit of oil and started frying that up. Then I also added in some tomato paste. I don't know why these things are so funny to me, but they are. Anyway, I fried up the tomato paste as well, then added in some tinned tomatoes and continued mixing this all together. Then I added in a little bit of sugar as well as some salt and some pepper and continued making this delicious sauce. Of course, I also needed to add in those cherry tomatoes that I had roasted, and all of the juice comes out of them. It is super delish. And then also I added in some pasta water from my spaghetti that was cooking, and I continued mixing this together. Once the pasta was cooked, I transferred it in with the sauce and mixed this all up to make a really delicious tomato pasta. I just can't go past it. It's like one of my go-tos because it is so delish. Topped it with some nutritional yeast and it was super yummy. On Friday morning, I decided to bulk prep some tofu scramble, and I used to hate tofu scramble so much, but I have discovered a way, well, my boyfriend taught me a way, that it tastes so good, and I literally love it so much. So if you don't love tofu scramble but you want to try and love it, I will link the recipe down below. Of course, I am having a bagel for breakfast again. Well, just a bagel again in general. I just had some cream cheese and topped it with the tofu scramble, some salt and some pepper. And this was a really delicious way to start my Friday. So it's a really gloomy day today. I've just been working from home, doing some editing, and I'm about to make some lunch. I've been keeping it really simple with lunches lately, and I'm gonna make a chickpea souvlaki kind of thing today. I recently got these Mingle seasonings. I love the Mingle seasonings in general, but this pizza one is new and it's really yum. So I'm gonna do my chickpeas with this, with a little bit of olive oil, and air fry them up, which will be nice and quick, and then just make a really yummy souvlaki. So let's get into making a lunch. Where is my good knife? Okay, how am I gonna do this? Like this, like this. Ooh, look at that. Delish lunch. I could not be bothered cooking on Friday night, but my boyfriend, he could, and he made this delish stir fry. He loves putting ginger in things, and I'm coming around to ginger at the moment, and this was so good. It was this like tofu veg stir fry, had a whole heap of pak choy in there as well. It was just super delish, packed full of veggies and then the protein from the tofu, and it was hearty as well and made with love, which of course we love so much. Then on Saturday morning I just had some raisin toast because I had it in the freezer and I couldn't be bothered making anything super fancy, so that was my breakfast on the Saturday morning. Topped it with some vegan butter, of course. Absolutely divine. Just the smell of raisin toast gets me. It's so nostalgic for some reason. And then I decided I wanted to prep some bagels. Oh my god, this whole video is just like bagel city. But anyway, I decided I wanted to make some bagels. These bagels actually, spoiler alert, didn't turn out as the most amazing bagels I've ever made. I followed the same recipe I usually do, but I think I just did something wrong at some point. But they were still delish. Nonetheless, they were just a little bit flat. They didn't have a lot of fluff to them, and that is okay. We still decided to eat them for lunch, so I made myself another bagel sandwich with the usual. I also made one for my boyfriend, so we just had greens, cucumber, some tomato, some onion, of course, as well as some cream cheese. And yeah, super yummy. And then when we were out and about in the Arvo, I just snacked on one of these chocolate bars, which are like my favorite chocolate bars ever. And my boyfriend went in to get fuel, and I was like, you know what, now is the time. I need a little sweetie treaty. You know I love them in the Arvo. And then we ended up having a super long day out, so when we got home we just decided to order some takeaway. I had a vegan pad thai with tofu and veggies, and my boyfriend had these vegan chicken drumsticks as well as a laksa, which he loves so much, and he wanted me to show you the inside of this vegan chicken drumstick. Like, look at that. It looks so meaty. It's crazy. Anyway, we really enjoyed this whilst we watched some TV on our Saturday night. And then on Sunday morning, I was just chilling, had a bit of a sleep in, and my boyfriend made me just some cream cheese and tomato bagels to start the day. And then I also had myself an iced cacao. Oh, it's just my favorite combo on a Sunday morning. There's something so, I don't know, homely about having this combo. Anyway, it was really good. And then when it came to lunchtime, I made these like crumbed tofu schnitzel kind of things. I'm working on perfecting the recipe, but into this new mini blender, I put some sesame seeds, nutritional yeast, as well as some cashews. Then I also added in some vegan chicken stock as well as some plain flour, and I blitzed this all up until it was like a fine crumb. This thing is literally so good. It was $80 and it's just like changed my life, not to be dramatic. Anyway, I put the crumb into one bowl, and then into another bowl I put some milk as well as some flour to make like a nice little coating. Dip it in the liquid, dip it in the crumb, coat it all up and get it nice and crumbed and looking delish. And then we're going to shallow fry this in some oil, and these are going to get so nice and crispy. I'm so proud of this recipe, and I'm going to continue perfecting it and then share it on my Instagram. So definitely follow me over there if you're not doing so already. I share more vegan recipes over there as well. I drizzled some leftover peanut sauce from earlier in the week, and this was a really simple and delicious lunch. Then in the afternoon I felt like doing some baking, and so I made my classic cookies, my classic vegan choc chunk cookies that I love and have been making for years now. I'll link that recipe down below as well. I just love baking so much. It's such like a mindful activity for me, and I honestly don't do it enough because I do so much cooking for work, but I was really feeling it this day, and yeah, these were super yummy. I definitely recommend giving these a go if you haven't tried my cookies already. For dinner tonight, I am heading up to Brisbane. I'm having dinner with a friend at one of my favorite vegan restaurants. It's called Nonna's Nightmare, which is a vegan Italian restaurant in, I think it's the West End in Brisbane. I really love it there. It's honestly in like my top 5 vegan restaurants of all time, but I've only been there like 2 or 3 times in total, so I'm very keen to head up there and have a delicious dinner. This dinner was literally so amazing. I had this strawberry mocktail, which was so good, and then a vegan spinach and ricotta cannelloni, which my friend Stacey Lee had as well, and then we also shared some fries because we love fries. Oh, honestly, this was so good. And then for dessert, I had this amazing pear and chocolate cake, which was like literally the best thing ever. And that brings us to the end of everything that I ate this week as a vegan. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and as always, thank you so much for being here and supporting me and my channel. I will see you next week with another video. Have a good one. Bye.